mainly because I'm kind of interested, I'm reading that there's some questions about whether Rupert Murdoch had influence on your government. Tony Blair. Well, I kind of am familiar with this, and I'll give you the beginning of the story. This is chapter 8 from We Figured Out Who Murdered Jake. Blackpool, England, 1998. Now, if this were a movie, you would hear the audience screaming, "Don't take the key, don't go up those stairs." The reporter part of my brain was screaming, "This smells bad." But I couldn't hear a thing because while I was out for the story, the memory of Miss Jamaica's hand in my pocket had drained the blood from my cerebellum. So I took the key and went up the stairs. Knock, knock, no answer. "Don't open that door." I opened the door. "For God's sake, don't take off your clothes." I took off my clothes. Which would be okay. Except that then Miss Jamaica's, the clerk then opened the door, followed by Miss Jamaica's husband. That's okay, I've been able to handle those situations. But it was the mirror photographers following them that was the problem. So the next day, front page, let's see, what does it say here? There was you had a newspaper editor who in America is known as Puss Moron. I think we call him Piers Morgan. And it's a sex, big front page. This is like the 8th time he had me on the front page. Sex scandal rocks labor conference. Another Puss Moron lie. There was no sex. I didn't get wet. And by the way, Alistair Campbell, Simon Hoggart wrote that he heard Alistair Campbell thanking Puss Moron the next day for setting up Greg Palast. And I don't know, that's part of the gig. That's, you know, like I say, they have a file on me. I'll show it to you. You can get to read it. It's like, I don't care. But the question is why? Why set me up? And the answer, and by the way, if you ever want to set me up by trying to get Greg Palast laid, no problem. I mean, you know, my other, you want to pull up my finger, I'm just coward, you know, that they figured out. What was that all about? A couple things. I had been an advisor to Tony Blair, believe it or not, and so I had an in, and when he was in opposition. So when he became prime minister, the Observer asked me to see if there was any influence. So I wrote a story about how I got an Enron lobbyist to tell me all the information about how the government was being sold. For $5 grand a month, you could buy these lobbyists. Murdoch was doing it. Tesco's was doing it. And the big U.S. power companies were doing it. So it was this Enron lobbyist. See, but the Enron lobbyist was me. I set up a false front. D. Neil Levy was my name. And I got the info from these guys. They kept denying it. But as you see from the little video, I have a habit of having tape recorders with me quite often. See, I was asking these guys, I don't trap people. I don't say, here's $5 grand, or here's 50 grand, or 100 grand. Oh, you know, tell me what you're going to do for that money. That's a trap. I just want to know what they've done, the deals that they've done. And I said, and I want proof. They kept giving me bullshit. Oh, you know, we fixed this for Murdoch, we did that. I said, no, I need proof. I'm working with these guys from Texas who just began wearing shoes 2 years ago. And they would send me documentary evidence of a fix and say, and here's some of the things from the tape. Okay? This is from Ben Lucas on tape, okay? And Dolly Draper, okay? What we need to do is, if Murdoch, the News International would agree that if their tabloids, quoting, if their tabloids tone down criticism of the antitrust legislation, the law's final language would reflect the government's appreciation. He said, but the message to muzzle journalists was not an easy one in their culture, but it was accomplished. And he said about Blair, this government likes to do deals. Yeah, that's what happened. It was sold. I was told for $5 grand a month I could get the same treatment. But there was something else too. Why the setup? And then there was another big headline, the liar my face. They try to make me look bald. Sometimes the truth hurts too. But nuclear. See, one of the things that the Americans wanted to buy was the right to start nuclear plants. And you don't have to worry about that anymore because nuclear is not going to happen in the UK, right? But the reason they were nervous of me showing up because I had some information on them, which kind of came back to me in March 11th of last year, when Fukushima, when Daiichi nuclear plants started melting down. Now you were told, in fact, this past week, TEPCO, Tokyo Electric Power, just said, oh my God, there's nothing we could have done. It was a 9.0 earthquake. No one had expected that on a 45-foot wave, a 9.0 earthquake. Yeah, it was a 9.0 earthquake in the middle of the fucking Pacific Ocean. By the time it hit Fukushima, it was a 20th of that power. So what the hell happened with that nuclear plant? I'm screaming back, I'm literally screaming, get the fucking funds. Everything that says seismic qualification. Let me read this to you. This is from a notebook from a nuclear construction engineer. Wiesel was very upset. He seemed very nervous, very agitated. In fact, the plant was riddled with problems that no way on earth could withstand an earthquake. The team of engineers sent out to inspect found that most components would completely and utterly fail during an earthquake. That's the memo of 1986 from the builders. I had it in my files. Now, wait a minute. I had it in my files because I was a government investigator, and I put this in front of a federal jury in the United States. And they found the company guilty, hit them for a $4 billion penalty. They went out of business. The company's name is Stone & Webster. So justice wins, right? Well, maybe, except that corporations are shapeshifters. When you and I die, right, they throw dirt on us and we're gone. When corporations die, they change their name to Shaw Construction. Who's building Fukushima and rebuilding it? Shaw Construction. 9 nuclear plants have been approved for the UK. 5 of them will be built by Shaw Construction. The guys that failed the tests. New name, so you're okay. Sleep tight. I got into this game hunting vultures all over the planet. Congo, Zambia, Ecuador, Peru, London. Because Oxfam called Newsnight and said that the poor people of Zambia were having all the money we were giving them, that the UK and the US were giving them for debt relief and for AIDS medicine, was being sucked up by debt vultures. These are guys who buy cheap debt, get their hands on some cheap debt owed, in this case by Zambia to Romania, and they're like international repo men, and they were seizing the money. And Oxfam said, you got to do something about it. And I got called by Newsnight, and I said, so fucking what? I said, they owe the money, pay it off. Life's tough. And I said, send me the material. And sure enough, I don't mind people being scumbags, that's how the world works. But you have to be an honest scumbag, right? And see, these guys, these vultures, are not honest scumbags. They don't kill people honestly, decently, straightforward. See, the guy who got his hands on this debt goes by the name of Goldfinger. Now it turns out Goldfinger makes the film Goldfinger look like Santa Claus or Clegg. And turns out he paid a $3 million bribe to the president of Zambia. I got my hands on a little email in which Goldfinger is bragging about his bribes. We got hold of that. So we followed him, not to Zambia. We went to the he took his bribe money from this bribe and others to the president to his bank. Now his bank, of course, is in Switzerland, in Geneva. So this bad guy, who speaks several of these Alpine languages, had to get the evidence that he was spending this money he didn't have. He had gone on his way to the bank as he went shopping. So he goes into a boutique Basile, we find out. And he spends $1 million cash. It was pretty good for guys. This President Zambia makes $200 a month. Spends $1 million cash buying 200 leisure suits. I didn't even know they made them. 200 pairs of platform shoes, because he's a short dictator, and a diamond-studded tie. With each diamond enough to feed a Zambian village for 4 years, right? And so how do we get the evidence? So she goes in and says in the local French and German dialects, with our cameraman, can we film here? We're doing a film, lifestyles and shopping with the rich and famous. Is anyone rich and famous coming into here to buy stuff? They mentioned some, mafiosi, and the president of Zambia was just here. And they showed us, they literally pulled out the tie and all the stuff that he bought. Oh, it said it was very fabulous, so we had the evidence. And we broadcast it here, and I will say that the UK government, all parties agreed the next day, banned American vultures from using your courts. Don't applaud yet. And in the United States, Congressman John Conyers, a great guy, walked into the Oval Office, stormed into the Oval Office, and literally put my story on George Bush's desk, who said, I don't know anything about this. This is a line he used a lot. Conyers didn't believe it, because the #1 donor for the Republican Party is Paul the Vulture Singer. If you don't know who your paymaster is, who writes your checks, how do you cash them, right? So he didn't believe it. So he said, Mr. President, this is illegal activity under U.S. law. So Bush literally, personally, had the FBI contact me and get my information from me and my producer Jones, and carefully sat on it until this year when the statute of limitations expired. And Goldfinger is home free, at least U.S. authorities, but not with me. Because then I flew to Bosnia and found out that he got his hands on some more debt owed by the Congo to Bosnia, and had paid $3 million to the Prime Minister of Bosnia, then go to the Congo, and find out that they had ready to pay Bosnia because they were going to use funds to pay Bosnia and to clean their water supply, because there was a cholera epidemic in the 21st century. Cholera epidemic. And so we found out about the bribery, but once again, now there's an investigation. And it's not only Goldfinger, but the other man involved in seizing the Congress money is Paul the Vulture Singer, who's collected on a $10 million debt, has collected $500,000 already from the Congo. If it moves out of Congo, they seize it on the high seas. Pirates. UK law, great job. Left out 4 words. Vultures may not access British courts, but they've got to add in the Channel Islands. So they're still using Jersey, British territory, to seize the properties of the Congo. So that's the vultures. And remember, vultures eat when things die. That's how they make their money. Now, we're going to have a discussion with some great people. Sorry it's taken a while, but I want you to read the book, because it's my hope that the picnic's over. So thank you very much. I'll answer questions.